The next time you think you look stupid, pause. Because I want you to remember something. You will never scare the right person. And I know that sounds simple, cute even, but it's one of those lines that genuinely changes how you move through the world. Especially when you're doing something bold. Especially when you're showing up in ways that you're not used to. So let me explain. We've all had that moment. You open your mouth and you instantly regret how your voice sounded. You show up to the gym and feel like everybody knows you're new. You post something online and immediately think to yourself, why did I do that? You look ridiculous. And what do? We judge ourselves, we replay it, we assume people are thinking the worst, and then we pull back. And boldness dies in those tiny moments. Not because you're wrong, but because you're afraid you're being watched. But here's the truth. Most people aren't watching you. And the few that are, they're either inspired by you or intimidated by the fact that you moved before they did. You see, boldness doesn't scare people. Boldness sorts people. When you show up fully, ask the question, post the video, speak your mind, take the risk, you're sending a signal out to the world saying, this is who I am, and this is how I move. And some people will pull away from that. And not because you did something wrong, but because your courage highlights their hesitation. They weren't scared of you. They were scared of what being around you would require of them. And the right people, they don't get scared off. They get closer. They lean in. They find it refreshing. They feel safe because you're real. You think you're embarrassing yourself, but to the right people, you're being honest. I want you to think about the last time you held yourself back because you were worried that someone might think that you're doing too much. Who was that someone? Was it a stranger on the internet? A friend who never supported you anyway? A guy who ghosts you unless it's convenient? A person who was never confident enough to try something themselves? We give so much power to people who don't even care about us, and then we dim our light for them. But I promise you, when you finally go all in, when you speak louder, when you stop trying to be small, the ones who are meant to stay don't go anywhere. They don't get intimidated when you shine. They don't get uncomfortable when you grow. They don't get threatened when you speak truth. If someone backs away when you're just being yourself, that's a gift. It saves you time. It tells you everything you need to know. The wrong people remove themselves. Let them. Boldness is not a repellent. Boldness is a magnet. The more you show up, the more you attract the kind of people who speak your language. People who respect movement. People who understand courage. People who don't mind the messy parts. People who prefer honesty over polish. These are the people who see you try and think, I want to be around someone like that. And it's not about being perfect, it's about being someone who's willing to take the first step. And if there's anything I've been learning on this challenge is that boldness is contagious. If anything, the right person feels safer because you're not pretending. You're not trying to impress, you're not wearing a mask, you're being you fully. And that's rare. Let me also tell you the cost of trying not to look stupid. You shrink, you hesitate, you start waiting for permission. You stay around people who secretly prefer you small because it keeps them comfortable. But trying to not scare people forces you into a version of life that was never yours. You weren't born to move through life quietly. Being bold doesn't mean being loud, it just means being honest. And being honest is always a risk. But the bigger risk is living a life shaped by people you're afraid to lose. The wrong people cost you more than the possibility of embarrassment ever will. Healthy relationships, friendships, working relationships, dating aren't fragile. They don't break because you showed up imperfect. They don't get ruined because you said the wrong thing. They don't fall apart because you were nervous or excited or passionate or emotional. Real people want real connection. Real connection needs real expression. If someone is scared off by your boldness, your excitement, your imperfection, that is not your person. Let them go. Your people will understand your intentions even when your delivery isn't perfect. They'll understand your effort even when it lands messy. The right people care about the soul of what you're trying to do, not the polish. Now, you want to know what happens when you stop trying to not look stupid? Your life expands. You get louder in the right ways, not aggressive, but alive. You move faster, not reckless, but aligned. And you take up space, not for attention, but because you finally trust yourself. You attract better people, better opportunities, better experiences, not because the world changed, but because you did. You become someone who leads without apologizing. You become someone that people trust because they see you. And boldness stacks. Every time you show up bravely, it teaches your nervous system that you survived. It gets easier, it becomes natural, it becomes who you are. So the next time your mind tells you, you look stupid, remember this: you will never scare the right people. You will only reveal the wrong ones. Boldness doesn't push people away, it pulls the right ones in. So be the person who tries, be the person who risks being seen, be the person who goes first. Let the wrong people fall off, let the right ones find you. This is day 42 out of 100 bold. Be bold enough to show up, be bold enough to stay, be bold enough to let them leave. I appreciate you, and I'll see you tomorrow at 7 a.m. And remember, to act bold, you need to be kid brave again.